I killed my first man at 15 years old. Shot him down on Marmion Avenue in the Bronx. I was 15 years old, killed him with the guns that my mother bought me.
Diamond, take one. Camera B, mark.
1957 is the year I was born. I don't remember nothing from the time I came in my mother's womb. However, by the time I was 2 years old, I had been on some atrocities as far as my mom's and my pops was concerned. I guess that my mother used to throw tissue wrapped up in toilet paper in the toilet. So I wanted to follow my mom's. But one day she took her ring off to wash her hands, cook, or whatever the case may be. I ran in the kitchen and took a ring and wrapped up in toilet paper and threw it in the garbage. threw it in the toilet and flushed it. I literally flushed it. I don't even remember this. However, my mother wanted to kill me, and my father saved my life that day. Because of the simple fact that he was like, he didn't know, the boy didn't know what he was doing. And I developed that name. From that day that I flushed my mother's diamond ring down the toilet, it became a legacy. Because my father had given me the name Diamond. And little did I know that name Diamond would lead me to doing 20-something years in the penitentiary later on in my life. Yeah. However, during the trials and tribulations of my life, I began to develop atrocities in my life. I must skip all of the in-betweens, 9 and 10 and 11. 13 years old, I was hanging out with a friend of mine named Tumpy. And Tumpy lived right across the hall from me. He lives in 3D, I live in 3A. Most ironically, Tumpy was born on the same day as me, September 30th. Little did I know that Tumpy was already drinking and everything, but me, I wasn't. But I was a follower, so because he was my best friend and we were born on the same day, we decided to start getting drunk together. In the beginning, it was cool because I didn't get too twisted and my mother was never able to deter whether I was intoxicated or not. But one particular day, we was down in 67 schoolyard, which was the Bronx, and we went down there and we started drinking. And we drank peach wine, we drank Old English 800, which only came in 40s back in those days. And I got so drunk that I threw up in the schoolyard. But I wasn't done there because I wasn't used to drinking, so I messed around and threw up as I got to the building. And I thought I was done throwing up, but it wasn't done because I got to my floor, the third floor, I threw up in front of my mother's apartment, which is where I lived at. So Martha opened the door and she says, why is all this out here in the hallway? I'm like, I don't know. But as soon as I walked through the threshold, I threw up again. She said, boy, you drunk. Got inside, you know, back in the days, my mother was of the old-fashioned crew. She said, I'm gonna whoop your ass, boy. And I was 13 years old. I was already smoking, but she didn't know I was smoking. And she whooped my ass, but she was so mad with me that she couldn't find nothing else to hit me because my mother was 5'3". So she couldn't find nothing else to hit me with, so she ran in the bathroom and got the plunger. When she got the plunger, she hit me. First with the rubber part, then she turned it around because she didn't feel like that was hurting enough, and she hit me with the stick. But I was so busy squabbling, trying to get away from her because I was afraid of her, that she hit me in the eye, in my left eye, with the wooden stick. A couple of days I woke up and my eye was hurting and I had deformality in my left eye. Yeah. But I wasn't mad with my moms because I knew I was wrong. I knew I was wrong. My vision had left in my left eye. At 13 years old, my vision had left in my left eye, yeah. And what happened was I had developed headaches, severe headaches, because it was developing cataract and glaucoma in my left eye at 13 years old. Little did I know that my life would become a completely hell later on in my life. 4 years later, 17 years old, that I would become in so much pain because of what I had done at 13 years old, that I was totally crazy. Mentally, I was crazy. Because I didn't realize that what I did to my life at 13, Jewish people say that you become an adult at 12 years old. That's their beliefs. I was born Catholic, but I didn't understand why this was happening to me. Why was I in so much pain? My mother was a drug seller. She was a drug seller, but she loved me. I had a little brother. She loved me. Yes, she did. She loved me, but I don't understand why I was deformed at 13 years old. So by the time I turned 17, I had ran the streets. 15 years old, I caught my first homicide. Yeah, 15. I caught my first homicide.
If you can, take me through
it. I joined a gang called the Black Assassins. And by the time I was 15, going on 16, my mother couldn't handle me no more because I was rebellious against my mother. Because I was already deformed, I was buck teeth. I had not artificial, not yet, but I was at 15 I was deformed. 13 I was deformed. By the time I was 15, I was mad with everybody. I didn't want to be bothered with I didn't believe nothing nobody said. I killed my first man at 15 years old. Shot him down on Marmion Avenue in the Bronx. I was 15 years old, killed her with the guns that my mother bought me because she was trying to get on my good side because of what she had done to me to the early ages. I was born in Harlem, 135th Street and 7th to 8th Avenue at the Harlem Hospital. Moved to the Bronx because my mom was trying to change my life, but she could never change my feelings. I was mad with my mom for years. I basically hated my mother for years because I was deformed. I had buck teeth. I had a cataract glaucoma on my left eye. Girls didn't want to talk to me. So every little thing that I could do, I would get her mad. Not realizing that that was the only friend I really had in the whole world. That was the only friend I had, man. And I didn't realize it. I didn't realize that until like 1976, coming to 77. That when everybody else was against me in the courts, my mother was the only one in my corner. But that's another story.
1976, you were how old?
1976, I was going on 18 years old.
So, you were in the courts?
Yeah, I was already in the courts.
You were already in the courts? Take us to 1976 and that day. That day was lucky. You know the day I'm talking about. And I want details.
1976, what day?
You were 17 years old.
1976, I was selling dope on 225th in Bronxwood, making over $10,000 a week. Never used dope, never shot dope, never sniffed dope, but I had gotten involved with a young lady named May. She came to me and she said, yo, they had a name for me back then. They had Big Jibs and they had Little Jibs. I was Little Jibs. Big Jibs was the fly dressing cat. But Big Jibs was a dope fiend. But he looked good. He always looked good. Brown skinned cat, always looked good. But his education was limited, as I found out later on. But May was a 28-year-old female. I was 17 years old, and she looked at me in a sexual way. So what she felt is that she could be able to put me on, young boy, and she can get her some sex on the side or whatever and be able to brag about it. So what she told me, she said, listen, Jibs, that was the name that the guy said over there, gave me baby Jibs. Said, listen, I'm gonna give you 60-40 on the drug tip. You get 40%, I get 60%. I said, okay, no problem. Because I always been educated. I went to deal with Clinton, so I always been educated. Like I went to Paul Hoffman, 45, junior high school. From there, I went to deal with Clinton. I went to deal with Clinton because I was a bad boy. So I went up there, but I still was good at my education. So what happened was, I started selling dope for this chick. Yeah, she tried to get me into bed, but I was kind of scared because I was young, 17 years old, and I hadn't really experienced sex. So I was kind of falling back from her. But she wanted to have me as her play toy. Yeah. Anyway, she furnished me with drugs. green tape dope, and I was killing them. Taking care of my moms, taking care of my little brother, taking care of my stepdad's dope habit. Yeah. To keep it from kicking my mom's ass constantly. I was taking care of his dope habit. It's like I got tired of that and I decided I was going to kill him. But I didn't kill him because he was my little brother's daddy. Yeah. Yeah. My life was a motherfucker. Well, anyway, what happened was I started selling dope for this chick. Little did I know that was started selling dope for her that because I didn't use dope, the only thing I drank at that particular time was Old English 800, which came in quarts, not 40s. They got 40s now. Quarts back then. What was going to happen to me, it had already anticipated that people's going to become jealous of me. So they had a guy named Elliot. I told you this before. A guy named Elliot, he was selling dope up there. Calvin and Elliot. I didn't tell you about Calvin. Calvin and Elliot, they were partners. And they were both dope fiends. But they were the fly dope fiends. They looked all good. They had all fly clothes and all kinds of nonsense. But they were dope fiends. But they sold dope. But when I came on the scene, they couldn't make money like I made money. My quota was $10,000 a week. They wasn't making that no more. Why? Because I wasn't a dope fiend. You know what I did? I smoked cool cigarettes, and I drank Old English 800. Later on, I started to drink rum. And it got so deep that in drinking the rum, I would be able to go into bars at 17 years old and order rum and Coke. And they got jealous. So what they decided to do, Elliot and Calvin, they decided to set me up to get robbed and murdered. Now, I had been a gangbuster a couple of years before. Black Spades, Peacemakers, Black Assassins, I had already killed. Not that I wanted to kill again. But to protect my empire, which is very small compared to others, I knew what I had to do to protect it. So they sent a couple of cats at me to rob me. But not only rob me, they wanted to kill me. They wanted to take me to the roof and throw me off. Shoot me and throw me off the roof and let me be an example so that for others, so they would not violate, because I had already made a statement. I had already made a statement, yes I did. Because I was young and I wasn't a drug addict, I wasn't nothing, but I was a quiet storm gangster, which they didn't know about. Up on 225th in Bronxwood, they didn't know about, because I was a gangster before that. But then I took off the Levi jackets, I took off the boots, and I put on the sneakers and the overlap pants, and I was cool. They didn't know that I was a gangster before that. So when they tried to kill me, the beast in me woke up, and I ended up killing them. That's when I caught my bed. And they tried to blame my brother for my homicides that I had caught. But you know what I did? I man up. 17 years old, I man up. Nah, that's not his, that's mine. I manned up. 14 years. Because that was in the 70s, and they didn't care about black people. You can get 5 years for killing a black man. But 17, I had 3 bodies. My first body was at 15. Yeah, I came through Eastern Correctional Facility. I was already partially blind because of my mom's, unfortunately. Not taking anything from her because she was a great mother. She just made an error, a mistake. I went to Eastern Correctional Facility and I had 14 years. And I had old timers that took a liking to me for whatever reason at that particular time. I really couldn't tell you right now. But Mo Howard, Chubby, whose name is James Davis, I told you that last night, Bradler, Brother Raj, and Leroy Miles. Leroy Miles had 50 to life. He had already been down like 27 years, way before I was born. This man had already been incarcerated for murders. Everybody that I dealt with in the penitentiary that took a liking to me were murderers. And what they did when they see me come to Eastern Correctional Facility is that they looked at me and like, this is in the 70s now. They like looked at me like, there's something about this little young boy right here. I started boxing. Remember, I think I told you last night, I only had one eye. Nicholas was the rec aide in the gym in Eastern Correctional Facility. He never thought that I only had one eye. So he let me fight. I had 19 fights and 1 loss by a guy named Pee Wee. Randy Sandy, I want you guys to Google that. Randy Sandy was a lightweight fighter. He came down from Albany, and he seen me fight. But then they called me for a physical. They called me for a physical, and they found out I only had one eye, and I had 19 fights in the ring, and I only lost 1 fight. The first fight I ever fought was by a guy named Pee Wee. And they didn't believe it. But they said, we can't put you in the ring because we'll get sued by your family and everybody else. So I gave it up. But I continuously trained. And I taught other little brothers that couldn't fight, that was being abused in jails and raped, taken advantage of. I did not like bullies. I was bullied before that. I was bullied as a young child. But one day I went to school and I just got tired of it. They was reaching in my pocket and taking my money. My mother would give me $2 or $3. They'd reach in my pocket and take my money. And one day I just got tired of it. I taught myself how to fight. Before I even got in the ring, I taught myself how to fight at 11 and 12 years old. Then I had to fight for my little brother. I had to fight for him. Because my little brother he wasn't a punk. He just didn't have an example. My little brother became a gangster after I became a gangster. My little brother started selling crack before he died at 44 years old, and my little brother was laying niggas down before he died. He was laying niggas down. I was already in jail, I was snorting and everything. My little brother was like that nigga, for real, for real. He was that nigga. So when I was a kid, I was soft. But I just got tired of being soft. And you know what happened to me, man? I realized and I felt other people's pain that was being abused out there in the streets. So you know what I started doing? Once I got access to guns and I found that guns were magic,
What do you mean by that you felt like guns were magic?
Well, see, the funny thing at the particular time, I felt that when you pulled the trigger and the smoke cleared, whatever was the problem in front of that, it was gone. Then I started telling niggas like this: don't make me put a note in your pocket for Jesus to explain what you did before he called you. That's when I realized that God was calling me. But I really didn't realize that God was calling me until I caught 50 to life. I did 4.5, close to 5 years. I was a pimp. I had 6, 7 hoes. Only because of old timer that liked me, that I was staying in a Martinique hotel, and he was like, no, I was sitting in the Clinton hotel, and he was like, yo, D, I need you to hold my excuse my French, my bitches down. And I was like, nigga, I don't do that. A pimp is a He said, you think I'm a I said, a pimp turned the trick itself. He was like, where you learn that at? I said, I've been learned that a long time ago. So I could never be a pimp. I could be a Mac, I could be a gigolo, but I could never be a pimp. He said, but I need somebody to watch my hoes for me. I said, okay. Then he broke it down. He was like, I got cancer, I'm dying, I ain't got nobody. But you, a gangster, I need you to hold me down. So I held him down because he looked out for me. His name was Lenny, and he had a partner named Champagne, but Champagne was a dope fiend and lived in the Clinton Hotel on 31st Street off of Broadway. I was living in the Clinton Hotel because I had been homeless for a couple of years, not a couple of years, a couple of months. And I had a little girl that I had gotten pregnant. So I was like, this is how we can survive, and this, that, and the other. This was my life. This was the things that my life didn't go one flow. My life jumped from place to place. And I had to learn how to control it. Because God, seeing that I was heading down a hell of a road. So what God decided to do in me is God decided to, in the Bible it says, please be still. And because I wouldn't be still, he decided to shut me down and give me life on top of life. All the things that I've done in my life, from murder to robbery to kidnapping to extortion to money laundering to pimping, oh, God forgiveness, he had to shut me down. Right now to the day, I'm so done with that old lifestyle. I got stories in my head that do you know that in 1984, was dating, was paying to have people beat him with a wet towel, paying them $700. Was dancing on stages and tongue-kissing females. God bless him dead. Was driving around with drag queens when I was pimping. We paid them $500, paid them $700. Drag queens and men. 14th Street and 10th Avenue. I used to sit there in the car and watch them. Judges, lawyers, DAs would pick up men in drags to suck their toes. Lawyers, judges, DAs to suck their toes and masturbate while they in cars. This is my lifestyle. How much money did I make? A lot of money. You know how many cats I've killed because they violated? They stepped on my toes. I got bad feet. I don't play that. And you know why I can talk about it, little bro? Because I was convicted, I was sentenced, and I served my time. And you know what I want to do? I want to let these young cats out here that want to be gangsters, that want to be like cats like me, that they don't even know me, and they heard about me, they heard about people like me, and you think you want to be a gangster, but you can't do the time. Sit your ass down somewhere. Go to school, get an education, be something in life. Because penitentiary is for losers. Now, let me tell you this. When I was in jail, you know what saved me? Not me being a gangster, not me having a reputation. What saved me is God. I got a master's degree in theology. I speak 3 or 4 different languages. Yeah. I graduated from DeWitt Clinton in the Bronx. I was born in Harlem. I had nothing. I caught 50 to life and my mother died, my brother died. My father died when I was 13. I have nothing but a 43-year-old soon-to-be wife. This life was hard. I became a theology graduate. I learned about God. I know the Bible back and forth. I can quote all kinds of scriptures for you right now. 10, 15 scriptures. But people, they don't know. They really honestly don't know, little bro. They really don't know. That when you find God in your life, you don't want to do what you used to do. Because I don't. I'm a deacon in Brother Love's church. It brought me a long way, little bro. I've killed people. I've been convicted of it. They can't do nothing to me now. I don't care to talk about it. They can't do nothing with it. It's on my records. I've killed people. I've extorted people. I've kidnapped people. Yeah, I did it all. Nobody got it that didn't deserve it. Nobody got it that didn't deserve it. You know why? Because I'm one of the individuals that I don't believe in hurting nobody that don't deserve it. I'm 67 years old. And you know what? I'd do it again. If you violate it, you're going to get it. All these little young dudes out here doing that nonsense. Y'all need to get a vacation and realize what jail is all about. Because you can learn a lot in there. You can learn a lot. I had a guy named Mo Howard. They took me on to their crew because I had an artificial eye. And it was like, yo, Diamond, we need you with us. So I was like, okay. So they was like, okay, we're gonna, do this program, the Scared Straight program. And we're gonna work with the young kids that has a lot of problems. They don't want to listen to their mothers and fathers, and they want to run out in the street and they want to do what they want to do. So we want to bring them to the jail so that we can be able to scare them to do the right thing. However, because of the white society, they didn't want that Telluride because they realized that would save a lot of black kids and Hispanic kids. So what they did is they're like, nah, we're not gonna, because we want to tellerize it. You put it on TV, you can save a lot of kids. Even the kids that are today, their mothers and fathers, you can save them today in 2025. But you know what? They didn't want that. This was in the 70s, 1977. They didn't want that. So what we decided to do, Chubby, James Davis, Mo Howard, it was like, you know what? Leroy Miles, remember I told you yesterday, I said Leroy Miles, his wife, he had fit to life, he did over 30-something years, he gave it to her to take the raw way. I'm a black man that has served all these years in the penitentiary, 3 separate bids, close to 40 years of my life, older than most of y'all. People tell me, yo, you look so good for your age. I don't look good because I was preserved. Because I was in jail, I ain't had no issues. I had to pay rent. I had to pay a phone bill. Cell phones wasn't even out when I went to jail. I had to do shit. So I'm cool. Yeah, that's why I look like this. I got a young wife. I got young girls on my... But I'm miserable. Getting back to the Scared Straight program. All of that, man. And the white man wouldn't let us save children. Black children. Hispanic children. And right now to the day, all you little young brothers, I commend you. You don't never seen you before in my life. 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 I commend you. Because just sitting here listening to my story, I commend you. Because so many black kids out there that's killing each other for no apparent reason. I'm blood, I'm Crip, I'm Yetas. I don't know what the fuck that shit mean. You mad with this nigga because he wearing blue. And you mad with this nigga because he wearing red. You niggas is crazy. I call it like I said. I swear for God. And then they want to discourage stories that brothers like me tell. I don't care if I didn't give a dime. I just want these young motherfuckers to realize, man, stop being a fucking fool. Oh yeah, I'm a deacon in church. But I keep it real. I ain't gonna never lie. You know what changed me? God changed me. You know what changed me? The Bible changed me. And I honestly realized that Matthew, Mark, Luke, all of them, they were gangsters. Matthews was the tax collector, a cold extortion artist. Mark was a fisherman. It is not history that repeats itself, it's people that repeat history. And each and every last one of them, Joe, he's a Mark. You're a Matthew. He's a John. He's a Luke. Every last thing in the Bible, it is people that repeat history. But society got it fucked up. They got it real fucked up, man. Look at the children. Look at all the kids today in the world. Society says that, what is the name of that shit that a kid is supposed to have now? I can't even think of it. L something. Some kind of mental disorder. In the 70s, you know what my mother used to do? Whoop my ass. In the 70s, we used to get ass whoopings. And from the 70s, you got a lot of kids that grew up that became something in their life. And you know, they'll tell you, I got an ass whooping. Why do you think you guys are where you at right now? Because your parents, your mothers and fathers, they checked y'all niggas. They checked y'all, man. Come on, man. I'm sitting here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 young niggas. Excuse my French, I apologize. 5 young brothers that y'all would not be here if your parents didn't check you. Huh? This little brother here was downstairs to me. He waited. I'm laughing. I don't mean no disrespect. He waited for me to get my pizza to come upstairs with him. Most young boys, they be trying to wait around the corner to rob me before I shoot them. I tell the young niggas out here, don't make me put a note in your pocket for Jesus to explain why you getting it before he called you. And I mean it in every aspect of its meaning. And I'm a Christian. There were no cowards in God's army. So whether this get printed, whether y'all do what y'all do with this, it doesn't matter to me. You know why? Because give these little young niggas a message. This shit is not a fucking game. Stop killing each other for bullshit. All my life, I've been a gangster. And your brother see me coming tonight, it's like, yo, he's mad smooth. Nigga, all my life I've been a gangster. I'm still a gangster. I'm gonna be a gangster till I die. But I'm being a gangster the right way. I'll help a young brother. I'll help a young sister. The only female I'm gonna ever have in my life as a young girl is my wife, because she ain't gonna let me go nowhere. She gonna kill my ass if I try. But anyway, but this is what it is, little bro. I want to write so many stories to educate these little young brothers and let them know that in the beginning it's all good and it sounds good. But in the end, either you go to jail or you die. So many of our brothers and sisters, look at the sisters, man. When the crack thing came out, they were selling their babies. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
They were selling their baby. The little brothers, they walking around with their pants hanging off their behinds, but they're not realizing that started in jail with the gay people. Yeah, that started in jail with the gay people. They were walking around with no drawers on, with their pants hanging up there to try to get a husband for a man that got 25 or 20 in life. Lil Wayne started. They started with. So they got it completely discombobulated. You feel me? I guess I took this to a different level and I apologize.
Apologize, speaking truth.
we got to realize, people like me, I'm 60, I'll be 68 years old. You know what I do constantly, bro? I see young boys walking up and down the block. I said, boy, pull your pants up. You gay? Yo, OG, watch your mouth. No, you watch it when you walk, slick. Then I break it down to him. I got a young boy now, walk up and down, got his pulled up tight. Yo, what up, OG? How you doing? I'm going for a job today. Okay, I'll see you when you get back, slick. You need some paper? You need some money? I got you. These old timers out here ain't doing the right thing either. They complain, but they're not trying to help. You feel me? And with that, at the end, this is what I'm going to tell you. I've been blessed. It might not even hit the air. I don't care. I'm blessed. I'm literally blessed. I got a 43-year-old wife that get on my last nerve. I got a 9-year-old son that get on my last nerve. I need a psychiatrist, I think, sometimes. I'm in the church with my wife, her mother, and her father, and Bobby Love, and his wife, and I always look out for his little granddaughter. If it not be for God, bruh, I wouldn't be here telling y'all what I tell you. I didn't pull no punches. Only thing I did was tell the truth. I don't want no props. All that thing, I just want to talk and explain to you young brothers, man, that don't believe the hype. Because there's a lot of truth behind us old timers. There's a lot of truth. I know I ain't gonna never see your little brothers again. I was a straight up killer. The reason why I was a straight up killer is because I realized and understood that that's the only thing that people respect. And, you know, I told you, I was a buck teeth little kid. And they used to tease me, literally. They used to pick on me, for real. And I didn't like that. And I knew how it felt. And then I knew how other people felt when people picked on them. So, you know what I said? I almost became a serial killer, I ain't gonna lie. Because I was like, you niggas don't deserve to live. Literally, I was on it like that. I was literally on it like that. But then, you know, like I said, I found God. And I was like, then I read the story of Moses, where he beat a man to death for disrespecting his brother. Mark, Luke was a doctor though. Luke, a lot of people don't know he was a doctor. And the Lord just told him, come on and follow me. Matthews, extortion artist. Matthews was an extortion artist. Like today's date, like to now, extortion artist. Jesus sat at the table with him and ate. Then I realized, you know, different things, man. And I changed my life. One thing you little brothers don't do, for real, is stay on the right track and be an example for your kids. Because a child is like a sponge. They absorb everything. The girls absorb moms and the boys absorb dad. Literally, brothers. Do not be something for your kids. Kid told me up north one day, I was in Sing Sing. He said, yo, I got 5 baby mamas. I said, you proud of that shit, huh? I said, one day, let me tell you something. My man John had the same time I had 50 to life. You know what he did? He told his girl, he had a son for his girl. He had been with her 6 months. He told her, go ahead, man, live your life. Never claimed his son or nothing. His son was 6 months old when he went to jail. John was in jail 27 years. And there was a cell next door to him that was empty. And it had been empty for a few months. And one day they fixed the cell. We in Sing Sing. They fixed the cell. When they fixed the cell, they had another kid come in. They put another inmate. They came to put him in the cell. John was in 28. The kid was in 27. I was in 26. And they called Murray on the visit on the Saturday. Well, you get visits during the week at Sing Sing. But on Saturday, Murray, you got a visit. So police came to the cell and said, yo, come on, man. Murray got a visit. So John was like, damn, where got a visit from? Because John hadn't visits in years. He said, where got a visit from? He said, nigga, I told him, I was like, nigga, go down and see who it is. You probably got one of them little chicks down there, whatever. Went down the visiting room, they turned around and said, it's not you. We want John Murray Jr. They came back, came to the cell next to him, and took the kid out the cell. Took him to the visiting room, he went in. So later on, after the visit was over, John said, asked the kid, he said, yo, what's your name? He said, John Murray Jr. He said, well, I'm John. They call me John. He said, what's your name? The last name? He said, Murray. He said, all right, just a coincidence. So John started thinking, because he had been down so many years, he had been down over 28 years. So he started thinking. So he tapped on the door on the cell, and he said, listen, let me ask you something, little bro. He said, what's your mother's name? He said, Aretha. He said, Aretha? Put them two together. He said, Aretha in Syracuse? Yeah. Well, some particular block they called it there. It turned out that was his son that he left her with when he was 6 months old. So Johnson never tried to get himself out of jail no more. And he had life. He was working on trying to get his son out of jail. The same kid that he left when he was 6 months old. And this is what happens to us as black people. We sit and we play the games. I got 5, 6 baby mamas. You think that shit is cool? This shit is not cool. That doesn't make you a man. It makes you less than a man. Because it's not history that repeats itself. It's people that repeat history. That means when they can't get no more time out of you in the penitentiary, they're getting it out of your kids. My daughter, little bruh, is 43 years old. She did 15 years. 15. Yeah. You know why? I left her when she was a baby. It wasn't her mother. Her mother passed away. My mother passed away. So the street raised her. Right now to the day, she just turned 43 years old, the same age as my wife. Don't hit me. Don't hate me. But she's fucked up in the game. Can I carry her? Will I carry her? I have to do what I can do. And that's enough for tonight, fellas.